you doing? It's Flying Gato, and today I'm driving around in my BMW 335D. Now D is for diesel. So in case you haven't seen this car in a while, it has been a while, and that's because I haven't driven it in about 2 months. It's mostly been parked, where the rest of my cars are parked, and it only gets driven around every once in a while by Mrs. Gato. So, needless to say, I do miss it. It's a great car, but I wanted to give you guys an update on how it's doing. Before we do that, let's go ahead and take a look at the outside and see how it's looking from the outside. It's pretty dirty, but you know, I think it still looks great. Like I said, I know it's dirty, but it still looks great. So I wanted to go over with you guys the reason why I haven't driven this car in about 2 months. And the main reason is because it needs some maintenance. And it has 81,000 miles on it, and in order to have this car last a long time, you should stay on top of the preventative maintenance. So one thing that it definitely does need is it needs an oil change. That's something that it needs. It's, you know, it's about every 10,000 miles or so it needs a new oil and new oil filter, and I have that. And the key with this car is that it no longer has the emissions systems. So with all the emissions taken off, you don't need any of the extra additives, or you know, the oil doesn't have to be special, so it doesn't ruin the diesel particulate filter or the rest of the emission systems. I don't have it anymore, so I don't need that nonsense. Therefore, I got the best diesel oil. Tella T6 5W40 is what I do recommend for your tuned 335D. That's only if you've taken care of all the emissions nonsense. Can you actually use this? It's a great oil. Trust me, I'm not getting paid by them or anything like that. But it's the oil I recommend. It's in the forums what everyone recommends as well. You know, there's a couple of other recommendations, but this is up there with, if you have your car tuned. On top of that, it needs a fuel filter done. Now, every about 20 to 30,000 miles, I do recommend, or the BMW recommends getting the fuel filter done, and that's because it's a diesel and it's going to get some particles in there and it needs to be filtered out. Now, if you don't change it often enough, you could lose pressure in your fuel rail, and that's not good for the engine, it's not good for the turbos, it's not good for anything. So about 20 to 30,000 miles, change it up, you'll be good to go. On top of that, and this is one of the main things of I wanted to point out on these sport edition cars, or these sport models, is the 335i's and 335D sports do come with really good suspension. But if you live in any area that has terrible roads, like New York City or anywhere else that has bad roads, after about 80,000 miles, those shocks are gonna be gone, man. Like, these shocks are gone. And you know when it's gone when you're going over bumps or undulations on the road and you kind of feel unsettled. The car kind of crashes around potholes and things like that. That's when you know it's time for a change. So I went ahead and ordered the correct replacement shocks. I wanted to go for a little upgrade, a sportier little upgrade, you know, slightly stiffer, not lowered, just slightly stiffer suspension. So I went for Bilstein B8 shocks. Now, I had to order the B8s, not the B6, because the B8s are the ones for the sport models. So if you got the sport package 335i or 335D, get the Bilstein B8s. If you don't have the sport package, get the Bilstein B6. They're slightly different in dimensions. Let's go get these installed. And so I'm gonna get that replaced, and that's gonna be hopefully a huge change. One of my main complaints about this car right now is that it doesn't really feel like a sports car. It feels like a feels like a muscle car right now. It has a giant 3-liter twin turbo, you know, 600 foot-pounds of torque, diesel engine, and it's brute. But when you try to turn it, you know, it doesn't feel as settled as it should. Definitely doesn't feel as settled as the S2000 or the Prelude or the Civic. So I think the suspension upgrade is going to make it a lot better. Anyway, that's all I wanted to update you guys on, and before we go, I want to go ahead and leave you with a performance driving portion, and just to show you this car is really great, and why it's great is it's the power. I mean, this thing has a lot of power. So let's go ahead and show you that, and hope you enjoy it. So right away, the first thing you notice when you're driving this car is the steering is much heavier than any car that I own. It's heavier in a good way. The other thing you notice is the absolute brute power this thing has. It's not a light car, but it's got the engine for it. A little straight line speed here. Oh man. That is just brutal acceleration. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. It's effortless. This is effortless power here. One thing I want to also mention is that at around 80,000 miles, you definitely need to change the transmission oil. I've already changed it myself. It's not that hard to do. It's recommended by the transmission manufacturer ZF. Not recommended by BMW, but the company that manufactures the transmission does recommend it. So it's one thing to keep in mind. Goodness. You can basically leave it in any gear and it'll just pull. As soon as those turbos spool up, it just pulls. As always, thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe and like the video. I'll catch you guys next time.
We've both been there before. When a love shuts the door, it's a losing game. It's a losing game. But this time it's more than another lot of war. This ain't the same. This ain't the same. They say